Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful night or day, wherever you are. I hope it's wonderful. So, I just got back from Sonic 2. This movie was good. Even from an objective standpoint, this movie was good. And I have got to say that I am seriously looking forward to another Sonic movie. Now, before I do get started, I am going to say there are non-spoilers in this part of the review. I will even put up the banner that says spoiler free. So you all know. I'm not going to be doing spoilers at this point. So when you see this part, I will be doing spoilers. But right now, spoiler free. So yeah, also, if you can, please make sure to smash that like button and to share the stream out to whatever social media you are on. It helps the channel more than you know. So yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I gotta say, it didn't disappoint. Objectively, there are some problems with the film. There are always going to be objective flaws to a film, meaning there are problems with storytelling or some sort of camera work or acting, writing, directing. There is always going to be some sort of a flaw that comes with a film. And this film is no exception. Subjectively, this movie, I absolutely loved it. And moviegoer, this movie is absolutely a 10 out of 10. But I do want to go over some of the objective flaws that this movie has and try to keep it as spoiler free as possible. So yes, this movie, judging by some of the trailers, you see that Sonic wants to be a hero, but he is also still a kid. So he has to kind of lean into it, and we all know that Knuckles is in this movie, and he is voiced by Idris Elba, and I gotta say that was some brilliant voice casting. I do want to know who did Tails, though. So, yeah, Knuckles the Echidna, or Echidna. It was Colleen O'Shaughnessy who did Tails. And I gotta say, she did great. Tails being in this movie really does give Sonic somebody to play off of very well, as does Knuckles. And Jim Carrey does not disappoint in this film either. The only real issue that I had with this movie is that they slowed Sonic down compared to his or who he was in the first movie. He seems to be not fully exploiting his speed when he could. Something that I thought was also very well done was that they actually gave him kind of a limited stamina. So, yeah, that was actually also pretty cool. The digital effects for this movie, they really didn't do too bad with it. I mean, yes, you're dealing with digital characters, and they do read well for the most part, but they are they're never lit perfectly or as well as they could be. And I really do like the background of Knuckles the Echidna and his the reason why he hates Sonic. They go through that. They explain that there's a reason why he hates him, so it's not just blind hatred. Um, you definitely want to stay through the credits. Stay into the credits because there is a reason. And believe me, this reason got me to jump out of my chair with excitement. I'm not kidding, folks. I haven't been to a movie where I have been overly excited to the point where I'm literally expressing it. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, that is nuts. When I'm doing that at a theater, you know that the movie actually did well. If I'm jumping out of my seat with excitement, you know the movie did well. This movie did well. Jeff Fowler did well with directing this movie. However, the writing in it could have been a little bit better, touched up. It wasn't too bad. A lot of people are most likely going to claim, oh, there's an agenda in it. I didn't see one. And I will explain further in my spoiler review as to what I am talking about because the Agent Stone guy seems to just be missing Robotnik to the point where he, I'm guessing, is in love with him or something. So that could be a thing. But there is no agenda. There was no wokeness in this film. None. Where you see, or where there's going to be some people who are on the everything is woke train, they're going to try to find wokeness in this. Honestly, as a person who has been through this kind of phase where you're get the identity politics, but then you end up seeing it in everything, but then you kind of have to dial it back and refine your analytical eye. Something that I've actually done very well. There is no wokeness in this movie. Just because there are certain demographics and whatnot does not automatically mean woke. Because they're not shoving it in your face. If it is overt, it is woke. But this movie doesn't have any of that. They really don't. They have a great story. They have great comedy. Jim Carrey knocks it out of the park as Robotnik. And I'm hoping that he doesn't he isn't really serious about retiring. I mean, they literally have this ending open for a third movie. And Robotnik, I think, would be a great asset to a third movie. And Jim Carrey, he puts Robotnik in, or he really cements himself as Robotnik. Yeah, he may not be fat like the game version, but he nails Robotnik very well. As for the other characters that are in this film, Tails is great. The woman who does her or Tails' voice is so freaking awesome. And you really do have a younger sense of identifying with this character. The younger people can really identify with Tails. And it's because they all look up to, it's always great to look up to somebody, you know? Now, when you're an adult, that's different. But Tails' innocence in this movie is refreshing to see because you know that Sonic is a kid in this film. He's essentially a kid. But the story is basically expanding how Sonic is lonely. He doesn't have anybody that he can really relate with. And they do a great job with that in this movie. There are some problems in this movie that are logical, but you know what? That is a nitpick, but it's also an objective flaw. there's a snowy mountain sequence where you got a bunch of Robotnik's drones going after Sonic, and they're lighting up the freaking mountainside that they're going down. This is a snowy mountainside. Where is the freaking avalanche when they're basically doing everything they can to trigger one? But when it finally triggers, it's like, this is poorly done because they would have triggered it a lot sooner. One of the things I really do like is how they do have some callbacks to the game. They really do their best with trying to give fans some fan service, and it's done in a really good way. I really like how they did this movie. I'm not a humongous, super cool fan of Sonic, but I know enough, and I absolutely love how they did this movie. They respected fans. Jeff Fowler will always be known as the director that listened to fans, and he did it well. When they did that god-awful design for this movie, or for the first movie, and he listened to fans, and he's like, I'm going to fix this. I am so glad that he did, because now I can't imagine how Tails and how Knuckles would have looked if they had stuck with the god-awful design that they had. Because really, when you're doing Sonic, you need to make him look like Sonic. And I'm so glad that they did that. The comedy factor does a wonderful job in this film. There's some scenes that people might be thinking, why did they have this scene in here? But then it actually comes out that that scene is important. It's setting up something for later on. And I really do enjoy how they do that. There's going to be questions about the credit scene. I will address that in the spoiler part of the review. So that is coming up soon, because I really do want to talk spoilers. I mean, I am really excited about this film. So, objectively speaking, this movie is I'd put it at an 8.5. This movie did very well. Yes, there are some problems, logic issues, and a couple of writing issues here and there. But for the most part, this movie did very well. So I'm not going to fault it just because it's heavy with CGI, because that's what matters in this movie is the CGI. Subjective, this movie is a 10 out of 10. I absolutely loved it. And so is Moviegoer. If you are a fan of great family-friendly movies, this one is no exception, and you will love it. So anyway, with that out of the way, I am going to move into spoiler territory. So if you do not want to be spoiled, get out of the chat and watch the movie first and then come back to this. So flipping the banner over to spoiler review, you now have 15 seconds to go. And get back here. So, okay, I am now going to start going into spoilers right now. So, this movie opened up a third movie. I love how they had the Master Chaos Emerald, and I love how they opened up the third movie to where it's the only real conclusion that you could go to after bringing Knuckles in, after having Robotnik lose. You know where it's going. And I'm thinking to myself, as the credits start rolling, I'm like, they got to bring in a third movie. This movie, or Robotnik's going to have to create Shadow the Hedgehog. And son of a bitch, mid-credit sequence, you see Shadow in a freaking lab. He's being created. It's like, holy shit. And the confusing thing is, they said that this lab or that this file was 50 years old. Now, a lot of people might be confused about that, so I'm thinking to myself, how is this 50 years old and Sonic or Shadow is a kind of a clone slash cyborg version of Sonic? So Robotnik gets the Chaos Emerald, the Master Chaos Emerald. He can literally, if he thinks that he can do it. So what stopped somebody with that kind of intellect to think about creating or using Sonic's DNA 50 years in the past to create the perfect weapon to go after Sonic in his next endeavor? Thinking it makes it reality. So time travel, of a sense, is theoretically possible. So yeah, when they brought in, or when they showed Shadow the Hedgehog, I'm like, fucking yeah. Yes! I was getting up out of my seat. I was freaking excited, man. And yeah, I may have dropped the F-bomb with a lot of kids around, so I am kind of sorry about that. But I got child level excited to the point where I felt like a kid again. Just with an adult language. Sorry about that. But yes, I was super excited because they're doing a third movie. This confirms it. Plus, I love how Tails is unsure of himself. And I love how Tails really looks up to Sonic, and he wants to help Sonic, and Sonic allows it. He allows Tails to help him. And Tails does kind of come into his own in a very good way in this film. He's kind of unsure of himself. He wants to help. He's very doubtful of himself, but he does come into himself, and it's very well done. Knuckles is just crazy awesome in this film. With him having super speed, I never knew that he had super speed. I don't think that that's in the games. And as I said, they really slowed Sonic down in this because somehow Jim Carrey's Robotnik is able to dodge Sonic when he's going super speed. And I'm like, what? So that is a problem in the film. It's one of the reasons why I said the film is more of an 8.5, because they dialed down his speed and he wasn't really taking advantage of his speed in certain situations, you know? And then when all hope is lost and whatnot, we get the coolest freaking reveal ever. Now, Shadow the Hedgehog is revealed in the mid-credit scenes. You know where I'm going with this in the final act. They actually brought out Supersonic, Golden Supersonic. And I'm like, fucking yeah. I almost lost it in the theater, folks. When you see Super Golden Sonic, I'm like, damn, they did it right. Oh my God, if they actually ever do finally get to a live action done right version of Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball, they can really take a note out of this movie's playbook with an energy aura, because they did Super Saiyan better than a Super Saiyan in this film. It's like Super Saiyan Sonic, and I'm like, damn, this is actually done very well. And like I said, folks, we're in the spoiler section, so if you do not want to be spoiled, you definitely don't want to be in here. But if you are in here, thank you very much for being in here and supporting the stream. But yes, when they did Supersonic, I'm like, frick yeah, dude. And you could tell he's a kid because when he thinks up something, let me just get a drink here. When he actually thinks up something and it becomes reality, what does he do? He gets a freaking chili dog. And I'm like, wow, dude. Okay, yeah. Now, one of the cool things that they did that was a call out to the games was there's an underwater part of this movie where he's has to go underwater, and they have air bubbles floating up. Now, I even remember when I was younger playing these games that you could use bigger bubbles to give Sonic more air and time to stay underwater. And they did that in this movie, and they did it very well. I absolutely love that callback. Now, the way that Agent Stone, is making his lattes, where he is making his own little face next to Robotnik's face in the hearts. A lot of people are going to say, oh my God, they just did that for insertion of wokeness. Honestly, maybe they could, maybe they did, so what? But they didn't make it overt. Yes, Stone cared about pleasing Robotnik. And you know what? The more I think about it, they could have, or that could have possibly been a woke insert, because when you look at Stone in the first movie and then in the second movie, there is a very big change in the character's demeanor. I mean, he's just so totally devoted to Robotnik, and it's like, are you nuts? But you know what? Whatever. It's not completely in your face, and Robotnik doesn't embrace any homosexuality because he's evil and he's doesn't care about anything like sexual politics or sexual identity or any of that at all. Chances are he's too freaking much of a genius to even care about anything close to pleasures of the flesh. So I do like how he doesn't really flow into that. Now, in the final act, when you have freaking Supersonic, and then he gives up that power, it's like, I'm only a kid, you know? And it does leave it open for what happened to the Chaos Emeralds. And it also does happen to make a good question as to what happened with, Robotnik when he absorbed, when he absorbed the emerald a second or a first time. It is truly great to see what he is capable of. Now, yes, they really oversell the insanity of Robotnik, but they do it in such a great way that it's hard to freaking fault Jim Carrey at all. He embraces the insanity of Robotnik, and he does it so freaking awesomely. But yeah, when I was watching the credit scenes, I'm talking to my friend at the theater. It's like, they got to be bringing in Shadow the Hedgehog. And then they freaking do it in the mid-credit scene, man. I'm like, oh my freaking God. I fucking called it. I knew it was going to happen some way, but I didn't expect it that way. But I knew that Shadow would be coming in the third movie if they made a third movie, which I honestly see this being a 3 to 4 movie gig. They're probably going to try milking it as far as they can. But honestly, 3 is where they should stop. They're bringing in Shadow. They should stop after a third film. They shouldn't really pursue a fourth, because that's when you're going to start pushing your luck and your quality is going to start going down. Make it a Sonic trilogy, and you got yourself a solid franchise that worked and works. But yeah, folks, objectively, there are problems. Sonic kind of being slowed down, not using his speed to the most of his ability and potential. For some reason, Knuckles has a very bit of super speed. Not as fast as Sonic can go, but still pretty freaking fast. And I'm like, was he always fast? I mean, honestly, I would love somebody in the comment section to eventually say or tell me whether or not Knuckles was always kind of able to go fast like Sonic could to a degree. Tails was freaking done very well and great. I love how they actually reused the post or the credit scene from the first one to reintroduce Tails. It's the same scene, and they do it very well. So yeah, folks, if you really want to watch a fun film, I highly suggest watching Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This movie is very much worth the support and the time for this film. As much as Paramount Plus's greater agenda is going, there was very little, if any, in this film at all. Honestly, it's not enough, or it's not even to a degree that it can even mar this film. I mean, maybe if you want to think too much about it, sure. But honestly, there is no wokeness in this film. I mean, only if you really, really think about it and say everything is woke, you'll find wokeness in the film. But honestly, I really did enjoy this film. I highly recommend you take your kids to see it. This film is fun. It's enjoyable. You get laughs. It's awesome. If you are a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog throughout the years, this film is definitely for you. So yes, thank you to Jeff Fowler and all those who helped make this movie what it was, because honestly, I can't wait to buy it on digital and get a physical copy as well. Anyway, folks, that is going to be the video. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you have seen Sonic, do not put any spoilers in the comment section after the stream is done. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know your favorite parts of the movie a week later, or just put spoilers before your comment so people will know not to read them if they haven't seen the movie yet. But anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for leaving likes if you did. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I think I already said that. Anyway, folks, this has been Orange Hat Reviews. Have a good night, and always remember, stay humble.